Welcome back, everybody. So glad you could be with me here today, Walter, at the Workbench. Wow, nice day today. This is the type of weather that I could use all year long. Sunny, cool but warm. You can build up a sweat if you work outside, which I did. Had some chores to get done. Had to get the snowplow off of the tractor. Then get the mower on under the tractor. And it's one of my least favorite things because once the mower is on, that means I have to mow over and over and over. That's the price you pay if you want to keep the green stuff short, right? But it's a struggle getting that mower deck on underneath for me because number one, this problem. Number two, crawling on my hands and knees, laying down on the concrete to reach in underneath to make the P.T.O connection. P, Paul, T, Thomas, O, Oscar, the power transfer, P.T.O, power transfer option, I don't know. But I got her done. And then I went to do the first mow in some of the areas, and it wasn't even like baling hay, it was like making silage. And then I had to go and rake it all up because if I left it there, the dogs would pick it up. Oi! But that's not the topic for today. The topic for today is the very much unappreciated marking gauge. So in years past, the only way you would know as a carpenter or a cabinet maker if you were maintaining a certain thickness was to strike a line with your marking gauge all along a known flat or straight edge. So once you had that, and you may not see it, so I'll just run the pencil line in it, if I can. So you end up with a line that tells you what you need to plane it down to. So this is just a scrap, but it's thicker on this end than it is on the far end. So what you do is you just take short strokes and then lengthen them as you work your way down to the end, and you get closer and closer to an even thickness. Now another way to do it is to use the thick end on the far end and work it that way. If the grain allows. And this one's not behaving too badly. as you get close to your marking gauge line, you may see a little feather edge start to happen. Not there yet. And with the marking gauge, you not only, now this is just a stick, okay? So I went along this side and then I went along this side. So we have both sides. If you're doing a wider board, you do the ends as well. And that's how they would know that the board that they're working on has reached the desired thickness. There were no calipers or measuring devices. See, like right here, see, as we start to get close, it kind of begins to feather out. I don't even know if you can see that. So you watch for that, and then you know you're close, and then you eyeball it for that final pass or two. Or three. But in today's power tool world, that's it. She's done. I reached my marking gauge line all the way around, and that's good enough. In today's power tool world, we just pull a fence over, lock it, and that's our measurement, and that will tell us if we've got a parallel cut. But the marking gauge can be used for a lot of different things. Like, for instance, if you were going to dovetail this board to another, and they were both the same thickness, the first thing you do is you set your marking gauge to the thickness of the boards. Okay? You set the marking gauge to the thickness of the boards. And then you strike a gauge line. It doesn't have to be deep. It's just a very light gauge line across there, so you know how deep to cut your dovetails, or your box joints, or your mortise and tenon, or your rebates, whatever it is. So, where could we use this in modern woodworking? So this is a marking gauge. If it were a cutting gauge, you would have a cutting knife in here. So if you were going to cut a rebate on the end of plywood, you could set that cutting gauge to score a knife line across the edge grain, the end grain of the plywood, so that when you go to the table saw to cut a dado for a rebate at the end, it would prevent tear out. That would be a modern day use for a gauge. But this is a nice one. It's got the brass inset, brass knob, and it's got the set screw to tighten the location of the pin. It's got graduations on it if you wanted to use them. This is a Stanley Sweetheart, number 65. This is a nice one. But any gauge that you can find or make, you can make gauges, you can make pencil gauges where you have the same type of a setup, but it holds a pencil. And I've seen some people now, they're using ink pen marking gauges. So there's that. Do you have one? Do you use it? Do you use it in modern woodworking? Or is this only something for hand tool woodworking? Another use for it would be if you're trying to find the center of something, you could guess and just mark a pinhole, come around the other way, mark another pinhole, and then you see you're just about there. And then you just adjust your gauge a little bit until you're right at center. Test it again. And keep adjusting until you're right on the money. So if you had to make a whole bunch of center marks, yeah, I'm not there yet. Real close. You get the idea. You keep working it until you're right dead on the money. We're close enough. I'm off by about a 32nd of an inch. I don't know if you can see that. And then you can strike that center line all the way down your board, and if you have to do drilling holes or whatever, putting screws in, nails, whatever. So that's about it for this one. The unappreciated or underappreciated marking gauge. Let me know down in the comments section if you have one, if you use it. Do you like the pin style? Do you like the knife style? Or do you like the modern with the round cutter? I've always avoided those, thinking I was going to cut myself, so make sure you like, subscribe, and share the video. Walter out.